Welcome to Gems from Friends. This is where we have conversations with creators, entrepreneurs, young professionals, collecting stories of brands and people. Hopefully we can motivate and inspire and maybe even ignite the fire for others to start their own projects. I hope you enjoy this episode. Stay tuned. All right, so we're recording this introduction separately because we just got into the conversation as soon as he got in the chair. And the person who we had in the chair is Nicholas Brancker, producer, artist, Grammy nominated, all the titles that he doesn't really like to hear about himself. It was a very insightful and interesting conversation. It was so insightful, we didn't want it to end. And then we ran out of card space on the camera. So it's just going to end very abruptly. So I just put in this intro here so that you know what you're in for, all right?
There were a whole set there were a lot of confrontational people. And because it was hard to be unique intellectually.
Right. Because everybody smart.
So you kind of lost with 95%. It's meant people move a little differently to assert themselves.
That rough though. Come in last at 95.
That happened to me already. 28 people in the class, you come last with 95. Just make you feel like you gotta assert yourself in a different way.
Well, so you ever had hundreds?
Yeah, I got hundreds. Early on though, not late. When you get up in 5th and 6th form, hundreds a little harder to come by.
Great work game.
Yeah.
Tougher.
But early on,
More distractions too.
Yeah. And I was lucky. I mean, we had the primary school I went to was really good. When I went into Harrison College, I was already ahead.
What primary school you went to school at?
I went to Maryville, which was on Point Road, right next door to the Girls Industrial Union. Between that and Brooks Latouche, where Mrs. Carrington, Avis Carrington, who's still alive. She's 104.
As a private school or?
Yeah, it was a private school. We went to school there. And it was a small school. And a lot of the children that went there had parents that were friends. So it had a feeling like, it was like a community. So there was a lot of socializing outside of the school with the same people that you went to school with. And I think that we were all encouraged to be curious, both at home and at school. You're encouraged to be curious because all of us are still like that. So it's people like who went to school there now that you would know. Arturo Tappan went to school there. Andrew Pilgrim went to school there. Mia went to school there.
Big ones.
Richard Seeley went to school there. William Duguid went to school there. We were all at school together, primary school. And it was like, it had that vibe, like, even though it was intellectually, I suppose, challenging for 9-year-olds or whoever we were, you didn't feel like you were at school because everybody in the class you knew. You've seen them all the time.
Right.
I think that school, more than any other school that I've been to, informed how I am as a person now. I didn't make it sound like I went to the law schools because after Harrison College, I was done with that.
So you don't do college or anything?
Nah, I went to university for a year. And I worked out, okay, I would only be doing this because everybody else feels I should be doing this. But I have no interest in this at all. And I left after 1 year. Because Eddie Grant asked me to join his band and go on a world tour. And to me, there was no discussion. So I left. And I have not been back.
So you don't had no other interests in any other subjects? Like, if you weren't a musician, like, what road you would have took?
I can't say that I've ever entertained that possibility.
It was just one. You just had to plan.
I only wanted to do music. And I didn't. The thing is, I don't remember making that choice to be a musician. I don't remember a time when it was not the first thing in my head. As a toddler, I can remember myself trying to play a piano. 2, 3 years old. It's always been in my head. I just don't think I formulated what we would now call a business plan, a prospectus as to how it would work. But I knew that playing music was what I can't even say I wanted to do. I'm not even say that. It's I needed to do.
Right. Because one of my questions here was, and just to let you know, I just getting right into it.
Yeah.
I want to be natural. There's a
Right.
conversation. So
Right.
to answer your question of what this is about, there's a podcast that I created, Gems from Friends. Basically, I feel that my friends full of knowledge,
Right.
rich with wisdom.
Right.
And one of the things I want to do is create a platform that we can share.
Right.
There's a lot of conversations that you probably had in your studio with other musicians.
Yeah.
That was high talk.
Yeah.
That even if somebody could eavesdrop and get a little 5 minute, they could walk away with some gems that could possibly change the direction, the course of their life.
That's true.
So this is not, I have not studied journalism anyway. I don't want it to feel like that. I just want it to be natural. Don't mind there's lights and cameras and all that. I still want it to be educational, true conversation.
Fair enough.
Nothing like real structured and super polished or anything like that.
I would try to search my brain for knowledge.
But you naturally go it, buddy. You just pretend read around shot. I know you might not going around shots, but
Why going down? But I don't do what I'm supposed to do when you're going there. Cause I don't drink rum. I go.
oh, so you would drink like a brandy?
Soda water. Soda water and lime.
I hear you don't ever drink soft drinks.
No, sir. I stopped that about 6 years ago, I think. I drank my last Coke on Christmas Day.
Well,
And I was like, I tell me that. No juice, none. So I only drink water, soda water.
I try that, right? And it will probably make it through. I would go through like hardcore, like 6 months or 8 months, and then it will relapse.
Because
And I don't know, I would just try to drink the amount that I missed.
but what made you start back?
Nah, I feel like I just be missing something. Like, or I would say, you know what? I ain't had this in so long. I can reward myself with something. And then that's be the gateway. You know, when you crack the door open a little bit, it's get pushed open.
The problem there is that you perceive it as a reward,
Yeah.
as opposed to a punishment. If you, I hear people talking about cheat meals and you reward yourself for having eaten well but eating badly. It is an upside down way of looking at it.
Yeah.
You're rewarding yourself by eating well.
Correct. It's already a reward. But
That is what the reward
that
is.
Yeah.
Because it's like you're not going to put diesel in a gas car. You're not going to put gas in a diesel car. You know what I mean? It's supposed to have in diesel. You put in diesel.
It's true. It's true.
So you try to treat your body in a way that makes it less prone to breaking down.
Yeah.
Let me put it that way.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I was looking at is like, sometimes it's got to change my perspective a lot, even just to get in the right habits. So I would look at everything I put in my mouth. I got to ask myself, how is this going to benefit me? What is this going to do? Is it going to be good or bad? Is it going to give me fuel or make me feel down or whatever?
Right.
And that's how I would kind of fight that battle. Because it's a battle, literally and when. Because I mean, like, these things taste good.
Yeah.
It's feel good. But then,
That's what addiction is, ain't it?
yeah.
It's a slightly, maybe not as intense.
It is an
as-
addiction.
but
It is, though. It is.
And
We may not be doing hardcore drugs, but, it's still an addiction.
people make all kinds of excuses to eat things that they know they shouldn't eat. You hear it all the time.
Yeah.
So, man, you can dead anyway, you can get let them by a bus. What you gonna do? You might as well eat it. But I mean, I don't really understand that logic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's not about how you die, but how you live.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the quality of living.
That's why I said the best way to put it is that you try to keep the vehicle, because this is a vehicle for your soul. Try to keep the vehicle functioning as best as you can, because it's not like a car. You can't sell it
Yeah.
and get a new one. So you just got to try and make it work for as long as you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
And be responsible with it.
Yeah. And I also heard this thing that helped me a lot too is with working out. When you work out, don't try to look at it as a punishment to your body or to like work off what you just ate, but celebrate what your body can do.
Exactly.
And then, it changes your perception a little bit.
It's exactly that. Because it is a privilege to be able to work out.
Yeah.
It's a privilege to be able to move your body and to make your muscles work. It's a privilege, and you should use it. You know what I mean? And I also think, particularly for people who are in our line of work, as I see us as in the same kind of
Same
line,
thing. Yeah.
our work is, and this is something I say all the time, our work is very unscientific in the sense that the effort that we put in is not related in any way to the results that we get. Because you may do something that takes you long and that you are committed to, that you love and you think is going to work, and it doesn't. And then you may do something that you don't really commit yourself to, and you think, well, and the people, and it carries you somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right. And from all of my conversations and reading about artists in all spheres, in all parts of history, in all parts of the world, that is the hardest thing to manage. The non-relationship between effort and result.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that is what makes them kind of go off the deep end and become addicted to things, and they lose perspective.
Yeah.
And one of the things...
Because it's almost like a high that you got to keep chasing.
Right. So what for me exercise has done is given me something in my life where the result is related to the effort directly. So if I push more weight, I can get stronger. If I practice my road tennis more, I will win more games. If I ride my bicycle up a hill more, I will be able to do more distance. That gives me a certain kind of serenity
Yeah.
that I can't always bank on
Right.
professionally.
Yeah.
Professionally, I have to focus on the beauty of the process.
Got it.
But
not
when
the
I'm
result.
exercising, I focus on the beauty of the result.
So it's good to not get to, or to find a balance between professional and the everyday living,
Yes.
like hobbies and stuff.
It's
like that.
important. And it's important to be able to separate yourself from it. Because I can see how I could become even more consumed by music than I already am by not having external interests. And everything that you do in life brings to bear on what you are as an artist. Because as an artist, you need to feed yourself in order to, well, let me use it biologically, right? In order to excrete,
Correct.
you have
got
to
footing.
feed, right? And if you perceive, excretion seems like a negative thing, but without it, we have problems, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it is a crucial thing, but in order to express yourself, you need to feed yourself.
Right.
And so the more that you can do in life around your artistic expression, the more you can bring to bear on your artistic
That
expression.
makes sense.
And that also gives you a chance at longevity. Because what I find with artists, they tend not to think of what they're doing as a lifelong process. You think of it in terms of what they're doing now and the results that they want now. And if they get what we call popular, then you get caught in maintaining that particular thing, as opposed to saying, well, this is a phase.
Yeah. Which is impossible to maintain.
It's impossible, right?
'Cause it doesn't last.
It can't last,
Right.
right? Because you are not feeding yourself, and your audience, whatever it is, however your audience is constructed, is being influenced by other things. And so if you are not feeding yourself in a way to keep yourself interesting to them, then they will move on to the next thing. And we tend to view artistic expression, I find, in the Caribbean, in the Southern Caribbean, as a young people's thing. But it can't only be a young people's thing. So we need to find ways to keep growing our palette for expression. Because it can't only be for one set of people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And not for just for one particular time either. Because
No.
we changing all the time. Everybody changing.
Yeah.
So you gotta keep feeding.
Yeah.
So you gotta go out there and live a little. You can't
gotta
just stay in a box in your studio and just play music. Or
You can't do it. And you have to search for your voice. The thing that is easy to do is usually the least successful thing that you can do. Because if it is easy to do,
that's a gem. Sorry.
if it's easy to do, it means that more than you can be doing it.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
The thing that is hard to do is what separates you from the rest. And the hardest thing to do, in my mind as an artist, is to express yourself in spite of what is going on around you, not because of it.
That seems hard.
It is.
Because artists, to me, like, we absorb what's happening around us.
Yeah.
As you said, when we feed things, we excrete.
Correct. So let me I using music as an example because I can't really think of the same way that I could use will you do video.
No, but you are a musician,
right.
so go ahead.
There are always trends in music. You turn on radio or Spotify or whatever, there's always a trend. And the trends, I'm sure you know, are much shorter now than they used to be.
For sure.
Right? Things change quickly.
Like fast food, boy.
Right.
Just in and out.
So if you as a musician feel compelled to do or to try to do what the current trend is, you will find yourself as being one of a million people who are trying to do what is current because they figure if the current going so, I should go so and go with the current.
Right.
But that trend started somewhere. And when it started, the person that started it or the group of people that started it were going against the current. Right?
As a differentiator.
Right. And that is what caused the trend to exist. So if you are thinking about how you can be a trend setter as opposed to a trend follower, you got to say, well, okay, this is fine. And there are things about this that I like philosophically, technologically, musically. But I have to say it in a way that is different in order to attract a different kind of attention.
Right.
So I hear people talking about Afrobeats a lot. And I noticed that a lot of artists in the Caribbean are using a lot of Afrobeats influence in their music, which is good. But know that Afrobeats, as it stands now, is really a product of their regurgitation of dancehall and soca.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
So what you are in effect doing is eating who you already put out.
What a way to put it.
That's
I
how I
get it.
say.
I understand it. Yeah.
So the thing is, we are in front of the thing, but feeling we are behind it.
Yeah. But that brings to your point, like nothing is new.
There's no new nothing.
Everything just feels like a remix of something else.
If you're around long enough. You know what I mean?
It's just a remix.
In fashion, in food and everything, it goes around, it comes back around. Yeah.
So you've been in it for a while, right? So now that we have said that, can you foresee where music going today or tomorrow?
You talking about music you talking about stylistically or you talking about?
Well, holistically, can you foresee what's the next trend?
I can't, no. I would not even try to say that. But what I can tell you is the way that I will make music will always be utilizing the tools that are available to me in the moment to express universal, non-time sensitive issues.
Right.
Right?
Well.
So if you think about where young people are today, the challenge that music has is that it no longer is the voice of the people. And this is a progression that has been happening for maybe 30 years, if you think about it, right? Because as technology improves, what it the point behind the technology, in my mind, is to democratize creation.
Right.
Because creation is where the power is. Right? So the more I can create tools for everyone to create, the more control I have.
Right.
This is the capitalist system, right? Because if you think about it, all real, genuine musical creation has come from Black people, wherever they are, right? The capitalist part of it has just stepped on top and found ways to, pasteurize it and demelanize it.
Nothing new.
You know what I'm saying? So that it becomes palatable to everybody else.
Masses.
Right? So my answer is long and long-winded, but again there.
I follow you.
So if you think about what music originally was, before it was a capitalist commodity, music was a means of communication. It was the way that people marked important moments in their life in villages before there was any kind of long distance communication. So the person in the musician was the messenger in the community, right? The person who documented what was happening
And broadcast it.
and broadcasted what was happening. Much like a kind of a media house for a village, right? But they also provided a spiritual function, because every major event in anybody's life was celebrated in some way by music. So whether it was birth, or it was death, or it was initiation, whether it was marriage, whatever it is, music has always been that thing,
The tool.
right? But it was not a commercial proposition. The musician was much like how priests used to be, were paid in kind. So people used to bring things and give you, right? That's how priests used to get paid before. People would grow sweet potatoes and you carry some and get to
A little donation.
you understand?
Yeah.
Because you understand the service that they're providing, but they're not getting paid for it in the true sense of the word. That was before the capitalization of Christianity as well, or religion, period. But that's a whole nother conversation. So, as time has passed, more and more capital has been invested into the creation and the dissemination of music, right? So let me give you a more stark example. What we call the Pickety Crop Calypso competition, which in my mind is not really a musical exercise, so don't get confused. It is like a sport because it's this whole in the stadium or Kensington. But anyway, it's not really a musical exercise. But the point I'm trying to make is the technology that we are using right now, which VOB has to put on brass tacks, has neutralized the idea of social commentary in music.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Because there's nothing now that is as important. There's nothing important enough that you gotta wait till next year, June, for a man or a woman to sing about.
It's true.
Right? Because you could call in program today and quarrel about it, and everybody can hear, and we can talk about that till Monday, and then say that's what happened. Right?
Because the communication is constantly on.
Correct. So the reason why I say I cannot say where music is going is because until we figure out what music means to us, it is going to be very difficult to see where it's going to go, because it can go in a way where human beings will not be needed at all.
Well,
that's where we're going right now.
With the AI situation.
We're getting to the point where we will not need human beings at all to create music. Right? We will not need new voices because we could use old voices. So the Beatles now put out a tune. That don't make any sense to me. Right? That's a capitalist approach. That is not a social approach. That is not an emotional approach. That is not a community approach. That's a capitalist approach.
Boy, with this whole AI thing, I feel like entering a whole AI sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
Whereas the music, we are getting to a point where everything is going to be so mechanical.
Right.
And it's going to be lacking soul.
Of course.
And then you gotta go underground to find that soul.
Right. But the problem is, right? You know what the soul is because of how old you are.
Right. So
Right.
when we are no more, and there's
When they
no
got
generation.
this generation that does not understand that connection, what makes them search for it? We talk about the depression and thing in the young people today, the mental issues. We talk about the apparent increase in suicides, and to me, all these things are related. If you don't have an emotional connection to the environment in which you live, you are going to struggle.
Yeah. And you can feel misplaced.
You're not going to feel connected.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And if you don't feel connected, what do you do?
Yeah.
Right? I can't think of how an artist would mean to somebody who's 15 now what Bob Marley meant to me when I was 15. I can't think of how that would happen. How you would get to that point where you could reach that amount of people.
Right.
And have a message that has been sold because somebody had to let it happen. Because that message now you're not going to hear. Because we have made music into a thing that is entertainment. People call me entertainer, I don't answer.
Oh, wait, no.
You can't call me an entertaining to me is part of what I do. But I am also, in my mind, a reflector of society.
Right.
I'm a philosopher. I'm an educator.
There's many layers. Yeah.
What we do cannot just be entertainment, right? Because if it is, then all the things that we ordinarily would be doing are no longer being done because nobody's ain't doing them. So that's why I say, like, you think about Bob Marley and what he represented politically, racially, socially.
And again, he was like the messenger for his community.
Correct. Saying that you want back that don't make no sense because time is continually moving. But the human emotions are not changing, right? So what is it that you will replace that? And right now they're trying to make it AI.
Right.
Because the capitalists don't understand well, they do understand, but they cannot monetize the emotional value. So the aim is to remove it.
Wow. That's dangerous.
In my mind, this is just my opinion on the thing, because that's how I read it, that's what I see.
No, I think it's valid. But I do think though that there are going to become a time when people can be really searching for that soul, even if they don't know what it felt like.
Where they gonna search?
I mean, because
Right.
music started from something, not just the being a messenger or a voice of the community, but expression.
Correct. Expression is saying, "Oh, typing on your phone." You put out a, tweet or post saying on Instagram or saying you've expressed yourself. You understand what I mean?
I guess.
If you didn't know that you needed more than that, what would make you know that you needed more than that?
Well, when music was invented.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the beginning of that too. How they know that they needed that? It started from somewhere.
Well, the thing about music is that when it started before language. True. Music came before language, right? So the idea of that or that's music, right? We perceive music in a particular way.
Right.
But once you are beating saying, once there is a rhythm and there is a note, it's music.
Right.
And it was a community thing. That's why they have choirs. The idea of a choir comes from the community singing and singing together. Right? That whole idea of everybody belonging to something. All of that to me is at threat, is under threat because of the way that we are being forced to communicate, one, and to respond to the communication. So the idea of a group to me now seems strange. I don't know how you get it. You talk about a group chat. A group chat is everybody in their own space typing, saying, right? So what me and you doing here now
Yeah.
doesn't really happen with young people. You don't really see young people saying, "Oh, reasoning."
Reasoning in person. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't happen, right? So I'm trying to think, is it that they will eventually become a human that does not need social contact? Is that possible? That we could actually create that human by removing the need through technology? I am asking myself. Because I remember I used to watch Star Trek on TV. I never really liked it, right? I wasn't really into the sci-fi thing. But I remember first they had holograms, so a man could turn up somewhere else
Yep.
without being there.
And teleporting and all
Teleport
that
and
sort of thing. Yeah.
right? And then I remember they had one particular episode, and I feel it was one of the humans. It wasn't spot on anything. One of the humans went in a room and said, "I want to hear romantic music."
And
Right?
we could do that now.
Right, and but
Alexa.
the music that played was not any music that humans made. Right? It was just like this computer generated ping, ting, ping, 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 ping. Right? And at the time, I was like, "But that can't be right."
So I get what you were saying, and I still think that and I mean it'd be unfortunate that it turned into that, but humans gonna still be needed because you have to input the information
Right.
into AI because AI people would call it intelligent, it ain't really that intelligent,
Okay.
because it need a human being to input the information, right? What might be happening is that musicians will be replaced by software engineers because
Right.
they have to design that software and that AI in order to create
Right.
this music or this whatever it is with this art piece that we're
Right.
talking about. So that's I don't know. We hear this. We just guessing.
Yeah,
we have
but
no idea.
That's I can tell you I do not know.
yeah.
But what I can say to you is that I think art in general is under threat for its legitimacy as a means of human expression. And I don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
So the question would be is that people say that AI is going to replace humans, but maybe humans can be replaced by humans who know how to use AI.
That's possible.
So do we go against it or do we jump on the wave and just try to stay ahead of that so that we can survive?
I suppose the answer to both of those is yes. You know what I mean? But when you really think about it, I keep using the word capitalist because it's a word that's bothered me, right? It's a concept that bothers me.
Yeah.
I understand its value, but there's a line when as soon as you cross that line, it becomes a negative thing. But I don't know where the line is. So,
That feels like everything. in
Right.
life. Yeah.
so what you just said is the same way I feel about real estate or money in general, is it that we have to try to get as much money as we can in order to fit into the world? Or is it that we should be trying to eschew money full stop and living outside of that? You know what I mean? So
So it's like
people be
two
quarreling. Yeah, people be quarreling about the price of foods. But I would drive down the road and see breadfruit on the road fall off the tree. Mangoes fall off the tree. Golden apples fall off the tree. And I be saying, so how hungry are we really? Or is it that we just want particular things?
Yeah. We want to be choosy.
You want
Yeah.
particular things. You're not just hungry.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like the aim is to make us all embrace the system as the only way.
You're going deep, boy. Because you're going deep. Because, I mean, yeah.
That's how it feels to me.
No, it's true. It's true. But, and as you said, it's true. I don't even know if there's going to be a middle ground. It's like, you either on the left or the right.
You in or you out.
Yeah.
Right? And when you think about it, I see the men now they are trying to make Mars habitable. You know what I'm saying? So think about this.
We're looking for a new Earth.
I didn't know who's the we, right? You think about this. The idea of a gated community on Earth is that I want to live in this thing and I build a wall, which is, it's that a gated community is not a new thing. Human beings have always done that. You build a palace and you put a moat around it so man can't get in, right? Where we are now, I mean, I know I sound dystopian, but that's what artists are, right? In my mind, I am saying these people are trying to live on Mars and leave the rest. Right? Because they see what's coming. And they are trying to move themselves into a place where they don't have to worry about what happens on Earth anymore. We go on to Mars and we start fresh.
But we see that in movies all the time.
Right? I mean, that's what happened when people claim to have discovered America. That's what it do. Right? It's like we moving from here, going over there. See this over here? Got things. So we can come here and set up here because over there's a problem. Right? And when you use up all of that, you're going further afield. I read something this morning. As I told you before we started, or we was filming already. I'm a reader. I'm not really a watcher. I read enough. And I was reading about the man that invented the plastic bag in 1957 or 58 or somewhere about there, right? Because he thought that he was solving the problem of cutting down all the trees to make paper, to make bags. And he figured that if he made this plastic bag, he could use it over and over again, and he won't have to use no paper bags. Right? That was his idea. And that's how it started. And then the man realized, well, we could make these and sell. And then, but if you sell and you can only sell one to everybody, then there's a problem. So we have to make one-use bags. And this is what we were trying to eradicate now. You know what I mean? But it started as a good thing. It started as a genuine gesture.
Yeah,
like,
it was a solution.
I want to fix this problem here.
Yeah.
Like how gas fixed a problem.
Yeah. Exactly. But then we always find a way that it creates another problem.
It creates a problem. So now we're talking about electric vehicles and it will cause a problem. We know what the problem is, maybe, but it is going to cause a problem. And then you're going to hear people saying that these idiots that using electric vehicles are destroying the planet. That's what you're going to hear.
Yeah. What's your idea on music and business? Do you think that business ruined music in some way or art in any way?
I think that the focus on business primarily has made artistic expression difficult.
Right.
But I know that in order for art to have universal appeal, it needs money.
Yeah.
The problem is, as always is the case with human endeavor, when you realize the money that is making and you try to maintain the money.
Or get greedy.
Well, that's what it is. From the time you're trying to maintain the money, you're getting greedy. Because it's like, that's not why you did it. I remember when I first started working with Edwin Yearwood, right? We just was making songs. We just went in the studio. People call me from the world and say, we got this band and we want to work with, we don't want to know if you would work with them. We don't have no money, but we would like to, see if you could work with them because we got some talent. I said, well, who's the band? He said, Crossfire Edwin. He said, but I know Edwin long. I know Edwin since he was 12, right? And we just went in the studio and started making some songs. And there was no pressure. It was fun. We worked well together, phenomenally well together. Things just was happening. He was creative. I was creative. And, that sounds a little arrogant. But what I mean is, we were in a space where we felt comfortable expressing ourselves artistically. Put it that way. And I remember telling him that the reason that I enjoyed working with him the way that I did was because he was allowing me to make soca music that was not carnival specific. Right? Because everybody else was making carnival specific music.
Right.
I was trying to make music that could play all the time.
So you went against the
right? I wanted to make music that fellas would play in the car driving, because that time it was only rap and dance hall and thing that you would hear men playing in the car, right? And I wanted to change that. I wanted to let this be our social revolution there.
Yeah, you don't want to be seasonal.
Right. So then we put out some tunes and everything, men explode. And they started touring enough and things. And I watched how the system engulfed them. It gobbled them up because it became about the maintenance of the success, right? So the next year, you got to bring more tunes. He has gone from writing songs to writing hits. You understand the difference?
Yeah.
It's a significant psychological difference.
Because it almost you take the fun out of it.
Right.
Too.
So you now have to think about what the formula is. Right? And be scientific about, okay, so and you get a run for 3 or 4 years. And then,
It
you know what I mean?
Evaporate after a while.
It tends to, because that's the nature of the thing. And because I was inside that, it made me see it, because I'd read about it. It happened to every artist that you could think about. Let's get to this point where what they are saying is what the people want. And then it becomes about maintenance. After Thriller, Michael Jackson was like, we do know. Before Thriller, he was just making music he wanted to make.
Right.
Which is what Thriller was.
Right.
And then after that, it was about maintenance, finding a way to maintain. And that, to me, is where we have a difficulty with the business part. Because if we could work it in a way where you could use the success to give yourself financial freedom so that you can express yourself without being concerned about it, then I say yes.
Because you remove that being a master.
Correct. If that is possible continuously, then I say yes to business and music. But if it is that you become a commodity that has to continually do the same thing with the same result in order to maintain this juggernaut, I don't support that.
But I believe after what you just said, that's even why the business part is still so important, so that it doesn't become, it's not that you make it important that it stays your master, but it's important because you want to be able to be comfortable creating without pressure and about having to think about maintenance.
Right.
So I think that when you're getting into the business, either you have a knowledge of the business side on what you want to do and be intentional, or to have a team
Correct.
that can handle that, because you want to stay doing what you're doing. So you want to protect this sacred space called creativity.
Yeah.
So that's what makes your business even more important.
I can't dispute that.
Yeah.
The business is important, but you have defined a very specific context in which it makes sense.
Right.
If that is maintainable, then yes. My experience is that is extremely difficult to maintain.
I think about having systems in place. So because you're not trying to reinvent or work something every single day, because the whole point is that you want to stay creative. You won't be able to go in the studio, and you're gonna have to think about bills and all that kind of thing. So I was thinking, can there be a system that you can create that your money then starts to work for you? You know what I'm saying? So look into, I think that musicians and artists especially gotta be more savvy, or find a team that is savvy.
But that would more likely be the case, because were you talking about 99% of the time is not, nothing is 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
But 90% of the time is two completely different mindsets. Right? The idea of planning and being scientific about finances is not the same head that is about being in the moment
It's a
and
different
expressing.
part of your brain.
It's a different brain.
Yeah, different.
Altogether, right?
Yeah.
So when there are people that have the two of these,
Yeah.
don't even dispute that, but there are not a lot of them, right? Which is why so many artists get ripped off,
Yeah.
because their head can't fit in this box.
Yeah, I don't understand that. And I do think that that is why we have to be able to work together and not try, because if you're the artist, a musician, you shouldn't gotta you shouldn't gotta worry about because when you walk into a business, you got the accountant,
Everybody got a job.
you got the person, the janitor, you got different departments. I believe that as an artist, you are the face and the creative person that expressing, but then you gotta have that machine working behind you.
I agree entirely. And I don't know anybody that has been successful that didn't have that.
Exactly.
I don't know anybody that is. But I also know that they're not easy to come by. Especially in an environment like ours, where your initial earnings ain't gonna be nine. When you start in this business, particularly in small islands, somebody has to say, okay, I can bite the bullet and help you.
Yeah.
And that everybody ain't got them.
True. Or maybe there could be an organization that come up and pull together a set of artists and work with, because we see how lucrative it can be. We see the artists like that you pay attention to and to have that backing and that team. You see they go further, they last longer. So I think that we just gotta find a way to find our organization.
I ain't gonna quarrel with that at all. I am not quarreling with that there, brother. If we could put that together. But I can tell you, I've been around this circle a long time, and this is a conversation that is not new.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because as much as people would like to think, the current crop of artists in Barbados are not different from the last. They may feel they are. There may be some that have traveled internationally and done well, but they're not the first.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So what are some of the things that you practiced and you did? Because I mean, you still have a career and you've been in it for how many years?
Man.
And what age you know name, but
I would say I started earning money playing music about 45 years ago.
And that is success to me, because you enjoy what you're doing and you're making money from what you enjoy doing.
Yeah. But I want to say that it hasn't always been easy. And something I said in my house up to day before yesterday, I said, know that if you want to be an artist and a musician is two different things.
Explain.
Right? You can be a musician who plays what is already there.
Artists gotta create.
Artists gonna make saying, right? So if you are what you would call like a musician who functions like how a carpenter would function, or a mason, or an accountant, we want somebody to come and play, and we want you to play some oldie goldies, or we want you know what I mean? You could just call people to come and do that. That's a different person from somebody that is creating what they're going to play, right? What I said in my band house the other day is, if you choose to be an artist, you have to accept that there are things you will probably have to do without. A lot of sacrifice, right? The chances of the success that you dream of are slim, right? They are slim. Not impossible. I ain't here to kill nobody's dream, but I'm being realistic. The number of people that are dreaming for who you dreaming for is enough, right? And so it does not make sense to compare yourself, because this is something I had to teach myself to not compare yourself to your contemporaries. I am talking about my social contemporary. I'm not talking about musicians now. People that I went to school with who became the traditional professionals.
Right.
Who at my age are peaking. The lawyers, the doctors, the people that I went to school with are now the pinnacles of the profession in Barbados. Right up to the Prime Minister. They are the pinnacles, right?
But I think you would have reached a peak. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but in your early 20s or whatever, you received success in a major way, ain't it?
Well, that is the thing that that's the point I'm trying to make. My profession doesn't have the same trajectory.
Right.
So if I, at 20, was comparing myself with my contemporaries, I would feel like a success.
Right. Okay.
Because then we're still in university.
Right.
Right?
Because they would look at you and was like,
It's going along. But I realize that as you get older, it is that you have to find a way to continually peak. Right? Because what happened in my 20s is of little relevance now. You know what I mean? It's not something that I could walk around and push up my chest with. Listen, when I was 20, I was, who cares? Right? That's 30. That's a while ago.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
I didn't want AJ.
So it is about continually finding ways to be relevant without chasing relevance. And you gonna ask me saying?
Nah, because where getting from that is being relevant is not something that you should directly try to achieve. It should be a kind of like a byproduct. So I think if you kind of go after the right thing, you understand?
Yeah. If relevance is the goal, you got a problem.
Exactly.
Relevance is supposed to be a byproduct of what you have done.
Correct.
And that's why I said to you earlier on that I believe in using the tools that are at my disposal to expose what my philosophy is, because philosophies don't change. The methods of expression do. Right? So if you don't have an overall philosophy about what it is you're trying to do, what your purpose is, you gotta find it.
Right.
Because then the tools are no longer tools. The tools are now controllers.
Right.
Right?
True.
It can only be a tool if you know what you're using it for. You know what I mean?
And if you don't know, then it becomes your master.
It becomes your master. It becomes the controller. And I can't say what's going to happen in the future for me or anybody. I can't say it. But up to this moment, that has gotten me here. I don't think my overall philosophy has changed at all. But the way I do the things I do is completely different.
Right.
You know, the methods that I employ.
Is there anything that you have done in your life up to this point that you look back on and regret and think that, man, I should have done it differently?
Yeah. Because then I won't be here.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? A regret is a dream in reverse in your rearview mirror. You understand what I'm saying? Because like, what you do when you regret saying, to me, is that you are assuming a positive result from the other thing you didn't do.
Jeez, man. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, boy.
But you can't really know that.
You just come up with that, or you tell yourself so all the time, like.
But I tell you as a thinker, it's things that you think about. You know, people say regret doing something. Well, what do you really mean by regret? Because if I had done this, then so I said, well, you don't know this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, suppose I said, all right, I was born in England, right? My parents came here when I was 5. My father's a Belgian. Is. Even though he died, he's still a Belgian. So we came here at 5. Now, most people that feel that they want to be in the music business feel you got left Barbados
Yeah.
to be successful. God, go there. I have had a British passport from the beginning. I could walk in England and stand up. The boy can't tell me leave, right? Up until Brexit, whole of Europe was at my disposal, right? So a man could say to me, man, Nicholas, you don't regret not going to Europe? I said, well, I could have gone to Europe and get lynched. I could have gone to Europe and a man could have shoot me. You know what I mean? You don't know. Stevie Wonder had a song, Living for the City. You know that song? Right. And they got a skit in the middle when the song died down. And they got this little...
recognize music right now. Please try again in a bit.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's the AI.
You freak me out here.
We in Star Trek.
But listen, so they have this part with this fella leaving his little village, little town in America, and he going to the big city, right? And he looking up and he's saying, he said, look at these beautiful tall buildings. And then a fella run up there and said, hey, brah, hold this for me quick. Right? Mm-hmm. And he hold it, pack of drugs. And the police come and say, cousin, come here. Man end up in jail. That is in the middle of the song. Right?
Wow.
And every time I hear that, I'm like, you know, that could be anybody.
Anybody. Yeah.
Right? So, I am about regrets.
Mm-hmm.
I am about regrets. Nah.
Is there, if you had an opportunity to sit down with a younger Brancker, was like one main thing you would tell him?
I would tell him, save the money you're making. Find ways to make it do for you without you having to do.
Right.
Took me a long time to learn that because I was focused on something else.
Mm-hmm.
I would tell myself that.
Right.
That's probably the only thing I would tell myself. I did not envisage this, right? That somebody like you would be calling me to come in and sit down and talk at this stage of my life because you feel I got something to say. At 20 years old, I would have never thought of that.
Really?
No.
Even with the attention that you had gained from doing what you love to do and being really good at
Never
it?
thought of that. I still don't think of it. I'm like, shh. Wow. You know what I mean? It's so, it is a very humbling thing
Okay.
because I know I have musical talent, right? But I do not think of myself as great or good. I know I got musical talent. I work hard. I practice hard.
Mm-hmm.
I still practice hard. But I am always surprised by the effect of my life on people.
Okay. What was your emotions when you first heard you got nominated for a Grammy?
I was cool with it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Like,
Because this is the other thing about me, right? I didn't make music for that. That's not what I make music for. I'm not interested in awards. I am grateful for them,
right.
but I'm not interested in them. That's not why I do what I do. Right? In my mind, the music that I make speaks for people who don't have the chance to do it.
Yeah. The
Right.
messenger.
And so that is what I feel the value in. What this is why I don't see myself. I can't see myself as the thing. I see myself as a vessel, as a part of a process.
Okay.
So I am channeling something I gained you. I can't tell you where it's come from. I know I practiced hard, and I know I studied hard. I didn't go to music school, but I studied. But the way that I put things together, I can't explain to you. So I can't take credit for it. I don't know who's to get credit for it, but I can't take credit for it. So there's a kind of humility that you have to me. I received a Grammy nomination, so okay, but I received tons of awards in Barbados. I can't understand why somebody feel a Grammy is more important than a Bajan award. I don't understand it. I just hear reggae artists quarreling about the reggae Grammy, and I believe, who the ass are you? Why are you even thinking about that?
Right.
You inventing the music, buddy. You waiting for America to give you validation? You should know better. I hear African artists quarreling about the way the Grammys categorizing it. But you just curse my head. You know what I'm saying? Nah, right? We don't care, right? I know the people that's vote for Grammys. I know them. There's musicians that play with, people I know.
Yeah.
Right? They just have their own tastes.
Right.
It ain't a special name, right? It's not a special thing. We make it into this thing.
We turn it into the perception of it.
And I just can't subscribe to that. So you supposed to be making whatever art you're making for the people that can't make it.
Right.
That is all it is.
I think some people use the awards and the validation as a metric for their success.
That's a matter for them. I can't tell you not. I can't tell you don't do it. I can't tell you don't feel so, right? Every person has to find a way to make themselves feel necessary, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But to me, you gotta be careful when you gain that power to somebody else.
I want to go back in the past because just like how we were talking about things upside down, we kind of start this whole thing backwards.
Okay.
Which is good. I like the flow of it. I like the flow. Because obviously, like, I would have start with the beginning and like how you started, when you started, why you started, that kind of thing, and list off all these titles that you don't like to hear about yourself.
Well, we're glad we didn't do that.
But I just want to go back into like the days when just before that we would consider that peak moment. Like, I know you said you were working in the studio with Edwin and y'all were just having fun in a creative space, just expressing. When did it start? When did you knew you had something special? Well, when was that moment when you realized that you owned something?
You mean with him?
Yeah. And in general.
I think what I would term as special, right? When we were making the song that we call Voice in My Head, I said to him, this song is going to catch Spraddle the Pickety Crop competition
Right.
on purpose, right? Because I am philosophically opposed to the idea of a pickety crop competition. I don't understand competitions in music at all. It's bullshit to me, right? It's an opinion that somebody trying to make into a fact, right? So the way I made that tune is as I feel I should have made it, not the way I should have made it. If you understand what I'm saying.
I got you.
I got certain criteria it's got to follow. And I eschewed every single one of them on purpose. And then I watched
So he was a rebel.
But this is the point I'm trying to make, right? So it's like, if you don't have something to say that is counter to what is being said, then to me, you don't really need to agree. It's like, you know, when you go to a board meeting, right? And everybody got to say their piece, but they all saying the same thing. One person could have said that. And we could be going from here and playing tennis. What's that mean? But
That's true.
if your only opinion is to agree, then you shouldn't say nothing.
Or shouldn't be there.
You know, really necessary, you think? So my thing was, I felt one, and I still feel to this day, because it didn't change. Clearly, we didn't get it do. But, so in a way, we failed. But don't mind, the journey was great. And it gave me another journey. So the way that the band is set up is like Frank Sinatra was singing,
Right.
right? Because that is when it started, like in the 50s and 40s and thing. And it has not changed. So you got 75 hornmen and a conductor in front. Where in Caribbean you see a conductor in front of a band? Where? Except there. We don't play so, right? That's you trying to do you European American, but I'm putting it in a calypso context. That's the first thing, right? So I said, okay, I can make a song that is going to make it difficult for that man to get play, right? I can make it like the music that I grew up listening to, which was not soca music.
Right.
Because as I said before, if you ain't got nothing to add or to change, then you don't need to say nothing. If I had loved all the soca music that I ever made, then I wouldn't have met none. I would just listen to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I wanted to make it different. I wanted to put the R&B in it in a different way. I wanted to put the reggae in it in a different way. I wanted to put the French influence in it in a different way, right? Because that's the music I grew up in. And the music like jazz and things. I always was into instrumental music. Took me a long time to understand why people had the same words. Because music speaks to me. A well-played instrumental piece tells me everything I need to know.
That's enough, yeah.
I ain't need you to kind of talk over it. Right? But anyhow, so then we put out this tune and I see people quarreling about this in a calypso and the man mashing up the music and all kind of thing, right? Big controversy. And I said to myself, but you is who put it in there. I didn't put it in there. I just make a tune, right?
Right.
You put it in you think, and then quarreling that it's not a calypso. That don't make any sense to me. Because it just don't put it in. Right? You don't quarrel about it.
Because I was saying you were very brave because you were new. You were new-ish, or how much years you had in the game?
I had been doing it for about 10 years, but not with any large endorsement from the community.
Because you could easily get left out, right? But, you know, some people would have gone and want to follow every rule, take all the boxes, make sure that it's safe.
I ain't that guy at all. From the time you put rules there, I'm like, let me see who the birdies is. Because from the time, rules is control, right?
Yeah.
And I need to work out what your rationale for control is. I need to understand that first.
Right.
Right? So I understand why we got certain laws about killing people and
For
things,
sure.
right? Because you don't really want to kill a fella. It's not right to kill a fella. Although the same people that's met the laws that's gonna kill people. Right?
That's another
whole
podcast.
nother thing. Right. I feel like I wanted to question why you give me these, right?
We put you in a box.
What you trying to? I making music for the people who are in my generation, who is not them people, right? I want to say this though. There was a kind of legitimacy that I had because I was working with plastic bag at the same time,
Okay.
right? So the way the countries work, when you making music with plastic bag, you gotta be on a certain level because he and Gabby's the two men out there.
Yeah.
Right?
So the association.
Right. So I working with bag So there's a certain kind of legitimacy that people just give you. Okay? It's like being a middle class musician. Because that's where they are, right?
Right. So by bring you in the chat room, so people is like, oh,
Right.
hey, here we got to say it.
Right. So then when we went and do this thing now, the criticism was significant. It became clear that it was a choice because I was very conformist with Bag. Because I know what Bag want,
Right.
right? So I did what I had to do for him. So there's a certain way in which you could not then say that I don't know what you're doing. You had to then deal with it as a statement because this is not the same as this, right? This is another thing. And so I enjoyed the furor and I also enjoyed the fact that it propelled Edwin into a kind of stratosphere as an artist in Barbados that I don't think anybody else ever had. I can't think of anybody else in Barbados that had that kind of.
It's true.
I mean, I was not here when Jackie Obe was alive. I was here man talking about his ability to perform and things,
Yeah.
and his genius as an artist. But I remember going in town with Edwin and people running behind a car in Broad Street.
Yeah, boy.
I ain't never see that for a local artist. I've seen it for foreign artists, but I've never seen it for a local artist. That he could not go anywhere.
Yeah.
It was like people would go crazy. You know, we went to what our store near Woolworth for there, and they dropped him. I said, I had a guy said, "You gotta drop your way front door." He dropped your way front door. He went inside, and by the time he came out, the front of the place was blocked.
For real.
Blocked.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? So I was happy for that. I thought it was going to lead somewhere else, but then, as I say, you know, that's how the system is. The system is something, and then you get into this maintenance thing. So there are things about that I wish we were able to do other things
Right.
as a result of that.
So you wish you had knowledge or the tools to handle the curve.
The thing that we should have done, which is something similar to what you talked about not too long ago, is an opportunity was missed, I think, when Square One and Crossfire did not unite and approach the carnival circuit from a position of ownership.
As a point.
I feel like, and this is not a regret, because it's not for me to do.
Yeah.
Because I did talk about it at the time. They were the two organizations that kept carnivals going for about 3 years. They superseded everybody else. This is why they had ended up talking about this Bayesian invasion nonsense. Right? Which then caused Barbadian artists to be excluded. Because when somebody invade, you gotta respond. Right? Don't mind the whole of Barbados owned by Trinidad as far as I'm concerned. To me, they should have said, we're hiring promoters to put on events for us at Carnival. No promoter is hiring us to come and play. And they should have only played at their events.
Right.
And they should have done 2 or 3 of them in each carnival for 3 years. And then don't work no more. You know what I mean? They would have not had to me, they would have done well enough.
Right.
Or at least it would have been worth the effort to just try and control the thing. And then use that to build something else.
Yeah.
You know?
I felt like they were still the first to do a lot of things, and you're not going to get every single thing right. For the rest of us now and the generation that is coming up, what can we see and kind of learn from that to make sure that we could?
You have to know what your popularity is and use it. You got to use it. You know, if you have the ability to pull significant audiences, you got to use it.
Right.
You know,
because that's a brand. Because I mean, back then I don't know if people were talking about brand.
They were,
stuff like that.
But I think it was really hard to do because it had not been done. It's not something that you could say, well, okay, this is what so and so did.
Yeah.
So let me You know, and the desire to be part of carnival in that way would have been an intoxicating thing because them was stars. I mean, they was massive
Right.
in a way that I don't think anybody else has been.
Out of all the tunes that you did, was your baby?
I'm a prolific dude. I love all my children, man.
I get that. What is your process like before you put together a performance?
I don't perform a lot, as I suppose you may have worked out. I don't perform a lot. So what I usually do is if I accept a performance, I usually want to work out what was the point I want to make in this particular thing. So depending on what the event is and who the audience is, what is the point I want to make? And then I try to structure in my head what music would allow me to make that point. And then I go in the studio and spend time working out how the show can end. That's the most important thing.
So you think about the ending.
I think of how I want to finish, right? Because the way I deal with it is that the applause at the beginning of a performance is for you. The applause at the end is for the performance, right? I work backwards from the end.
This is how we start this.
Yeah,
You break all the rules.
backwards for the end.
Yeah.
And then I think about how to feature the members in the band in a way that is different from how you see them elsewhere. Because this configuration of the band that I have now, all the musicians do other things. And so the challenge for me is to present them in a way that makes it specific to what we do. My underlying philosophy for performance in Barbados, well, one of them is I want you to know that the music that we make can be performed at the same level as any music you hear anywhere in the world if the right people are doing it.
Right.
I ain't saying as the right person. Don't get me wrong. But when we do a performance, I am going to play local music in a way that you didn't hear it before. I will play foreign music in a way you didn't hear it before. And I can mix the two in a way you didn't hear it before. Because my point is that the idea that something that is foreign is better is a fallacy.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that what we do is stylistically different, but the same from a standard perspective. That's the encapsulating philosophy behind a performance.
Got it.
Right?
Got it.
So I want the music to tell you a story, and I want the band to tell you a story.
Yeah. So you're providing an experience.
That's my hope. Right? I can't tell you what's happened, but that is how I approach it, which is why it is so difficult for me to answer to the entertainers thing.
Got it. So, like when I was coming up in music, because you don't know my background, but I start making beats and producing and all that, right?
If you tell me that already,
Good.
how about you wrote tennis court?
Correct. So
And I was
bad.
cutting your ass.
Yeah. And you never came back. You just beat me and left. I think you beat me with your other hand. You the right-handed or left-handed?
I am right-handed.
I think you beat me with your left hand.
I
too.
may have played your hand.
So when it was coming out in that day, that's when we had shipping and I had like bands was like the ink thing. Now we are in a kind of a DJ era, right? Do you think or do you foresee nightclub and bands coming back again in that way?
No. Nothing don't come back that way. Nothing comes back the same way. Right? There will always be nods to the past in trends. But in order for a live band to succeed, it has to do more than what it used to do.
For sure.
and it has to utilize technology in a different way, right? So what we do sometimes is flip the script in the way, for example, most singers will go and perform with tracks at some point, you know, in a band, because they got all the stems and things. So I worked out that I could do the opposite. I could go and perform and use the singer's track.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I don't see why you could perform without a band and I can't perform without a singer. I don't make sense to me.
But from the point of view of the performance,
Right. So then now the challenge for me, this is why I said the band got to think differently. The challenge for you is, what is the audience going to look at?
correct.
Right? You have to figure out what that focal point is going to be. And you got to find a way to make it work. So whether it is that you got screens on your stage doing something, or you work the arrangement in a way that the musicians are doing something that is visually appealing. Whatever it is, you got to work it out.
Right.
Right? But it is that kind of a challenge to me that you can't ignore.
Right.
You know, you can't just go up there with a bass and the drums and a keyboard and sing a song.
Yeah.
That's what people have been doing for 50 years.
Correct.
Right? So the idea of a live band coming back, what I think a band can do that a DJ cannot do is be organic. Because a DJ got to play something that make a ready.
Right.
Right? But they're fellas that, I mean, you know what Puffy's do. I mean, there are fellas that are phenomenal at it, right? But it is a special kind of a performance. It is not a live band performance. The band has to find a way to make each member visually stimulating.
Because one of the things I was thinking about is that we got like thousands of songs that get released every year out of Barbados alone, right? And only a very few just get play. And then sometimes I will go back into catalogs and I'll be hearing, but I didn't hear this, and I feel like there's a lot that just get wasted. And my thinking is, and I want you to tell me what you think, because we don't get to experience the live element of these songs, it doesn't really resonate with us how it's supposed to. Because when a DJ plays a song, there are songs that are DJ songs. There are songs that just got a beat and a one melody and it cool. You know, it doing what it's supposed to do. Then there are other songs that the audience can't feel it as much as they could feel it if it was being played live, because the elements that were put in it is made for live. Right? And that it cannot be reproduced in just a 2-track mix. You know what I'm saying? So I was saying, like, I would like to have a healthy balance with live bands and DJs, because I think that it would give some of the music a chance.
The thing about it is that means somebody got to take a risk. Somebody got to say, we can play this song and nobody don't know.
Right.
There ain't many of them.
It's true.
Right?
As you said, there's a lot of trend followers and not.
This is the point you're trying to make. So if you thinking in terms of trying to be a band that makes a statement, then you gotta find music. You either have to play music that nobody else is playing, or you gotta play the same music different from everybody else.
Different from everybody else. Yeah.
You ain't got no choices other than them. And I don't know many people that are willing to take music that has not been exposed and try to expose it.
Right.
I don't know many people that would do that.
Okay.
We kind of do that sometimes, but it's always within a very specific context.
Okay.
And it would be a small part of a show.
Okay. What was your idea on starving artists? You know that term, starving artists?
I've heard the term.
And if you have a young person in front of you and they're asking for your advice, like, what should they do if they want to get into this business? Should they quit their job and get into it full time and just put everything they have in it? Or should they find a way to keep the job and play music.
If it's a young person I'm talking to you, the father in me is going to say, hold on to the job and try to make the time that you're not at work most beneficial for your artistic development. Right? But I would also say to you that it is going to be very difficult to split your brain in two to get that done. Right? The musician in me is going to tell you, if you know you good enough, step off. If you ain't stepping off, you ain't sure.
Right.
Right? But the environment that we're in now is very challenging to me, from what I see. You know, if you custom gain a salary and you want to play music, it's an adjustment to not, you know, because even if you ain't making it every week, you ain't making it every month. It's not like you can't say in July next year I am going to.
Yeah.
You can't say that. But if the bug that is in you is a bug you can't suppress, I will tell you to go for it. Because the chances are you could go back and get a job
Right.
in the future. But you might not get another shot. You know what I mean? I left university because Eddie Grant asked me to tour with him. I'm pretty sure I would have left university anyhow.
Right.
But I would have gone more heat for having no reason.
Right. Yeah. There's some artists that don't want to be seen doing a particular job because it affects the perception of their brand as being an artist. So that's where the struggle might be. No,
But you're not an artist yet. You know what I'm saying?
but they got some people that got a little one that got, don't me call it lil because it sounds like it be little, but they might got a song already that's popular.
That is not making
They're
you an
building.
artist. That is not making you an artist. An artist is not a body that got one song that doing thing. That's a person with a popular song. That's saying different. I ain't saying it's a bad thing.
Right.
It's saying different. An artist is somebody that got a statement to make, that got an arsenal of things. That's what artist is. Not one song. You may have one song. Oh, you supposed to got 100 songs. If you feel that your image is tarnished because you have what is called a day job and you got a song on the radio, then you are doing what the people that want Grammys doing, which is you letting the audience control you.
Right.
You can't let that happen. Because they are not going to carry you to the supermarket and buy bread and you, right? I'm telling you that. So wherever you gotta get your thing sort out your thing,
Got it.
right?
Got it.
Plastic Bag was working at Carry Cargo until Raga Raga came out. The only reason why he resigned is because his tours was too regular and he couldn't get work. But he was working a day job all of that time. Raga Raga was in 92. And he started in 1982. 10 years, bro.
So it take long. I think to what destroys the perception or the illusion or the feeds to the illusions, Instagram and social media and stuff like that, where people think it happens instantly.
Yeah, this is what we're talking about, right? If you let the tools control you, you got a problem. Because Instagram got on bare lies. Bare lies. I see it all the time. I see people posting and say, but listen, mama, I saw you yesterday. I know what really going on here, right? what you trying to say? Who you trying to fool?
You could get away with it. It takes it like big cities and take, but we in Barbados.
People like, I see you yesterday evening.
You see this boy in a bike lane.
You know what I mean? What you trying to prove?
Yeah.
Right? I think, you see, everything I say does connect to everything else I say. The person who is an artist has in their mind what their role in the society is. it is no different from any other role that anybody else playing.
Yeah.
And everybody else is fitting in this society and doing what they gotta do,
Yeah.
right? So if you feel that you're supposed to live in a house that got a big wall and that you coming out in a Range Rover and driving on the road where you windows dark and then you send a man in the supermarket to get things for you, if that's how you feel you want to live, then you're really an artist. You're trying to be a star.
Right.
That's something different. Right? You got to have in your head what it is that you're prepared to do without to be an artist.
Right. That's really show you the differentiator now too.
Yeah.
Between, because some people got a dream and then some people got a lust.
Yeah.
And you know,
Being a star is a difficult thing. Because even when you get it, you don't really have it.
it's not yours. It's
You
like
know,
it's borrowed.
You know what I mean? It don't stay. And you got to keep doing to keep it.
Yeah.
And it's slipping through your hands all the time.
And it's right, as you said, is what you want overall.
Yeah.
Because there are some artists and musicians who are very happy, live a comfortable life, and without being super popular.
Right.
Some of them don't even want to be super popular.
Right.
They're okay with being underground,
Yeah.
traveling and doing a little 1 or 2 shows, having 100, 200 people coming in, and they're comfortable.
Yeah. If that's what working for you,
Yeah.
and that is what your statement is,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, I think we have all seen what supreme celebrity does do to people. I can't see where you would want that. You know what I mean? It don't make no sense to me.
Right. So I can start to wrap it up now. But there's 2 more things I want to ask quickly. If you were trapped in a room
You mean like, hey?
and you could only play one instrument for the rest of your life, what that instrument would be?
Radio.
That's actually very clever. How many instruments do you play? Except the radio. You play bass.
I
you
play bass, I
keys.
play keyboards. I could play a little guitar, I could play a little drums, and I could sing a little bit.
Right.
I don't blow nothing. I ain't blowing nothing. Anything that requires hands, I could get wrong. I ain't blowing nothing. I could probably play a recorder, because you know we all had a
Yeah.
play
In school,
recorder at
yeah.
school. But I don't play guitar nor drums for public consumption.
Got
I
it.
do it like when I need to do it in the studio, and I sing a lot of background vocals. I sing background vocals in all the songs I produce, because it's cheaper. But I would play. I don't really even play the piano in public. The piano is musical therapy for me. It's personal.
Got
I
it.
just play it for myself.
Got it.
I don't play the piano for anybody else.
So that's where you have a difference between.
Yeah, I draw a line there.
You draw right.
The piano is not a professional enterprise for me.
Got it.
And I don't play it as much as I should. But that is where I am. That's where the me is. Sitting at a piano.
Got it. So you would choose the piano after saying all that
In the room,
in your room.
so I can't get your radio.
No. You could play it through the radio, but
Yeah, it would be a piano.
piano. That's interesting.
For sure.
I think some people would probably think you would have said bass.
Nah. I love playing bass. Don't get me wrong. It's a different thing.
How you feel about your overall achievements right now, where you're sitting?
I think I've done okay. I think that the music that I have made has impacted people's lives in a positive way, both from the consumer's perspective and from the performer's perspective. You know, I think that from that perspective, I have contributed And I feel good about that. I also think that musicians, well, it's hard to transcend generations, but I think that younger musicians feel a little more inspired by having somebody around like myself. I feel like that makes them feel more energized about being good and practicing and getting better. I am hoping that is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, those are the things that matter to me.
Okay.
You know, because to me, I am here to. This is the only thing I can really do well. I could talk shite and I could run about and think, but
Tennis.
yeah. But music is the only thing I really do well. It's the only thing that my whole spirit is in. And I am grateful that I have been able to do it for this long. And that I think that it has been a positive thing for the country that I am in and for the people that are in it. You know, that's how I feel. I mean, the accolades is to me a byproduct of that. You know,
Well, you have done well, sir.
I appreciate that.
And it is truly an honor to even sit in front of you and have this conversation. Just like you, I have never seen myself doing this. You know,
You're doing a good thing.
being able to sit in front of you and share this information. So I thank you for coming through.
I enjoyed it. I am glad to have been here. I mean, you know, I know you a little while now. I didn't even realize, but when you told me who your father is, I was like, shh. It's putting a whole different perspective on my life, on my age. But yeah, this is a good thing. And we need to talk more, and we need to talk more to ourselves and with ourselves. We're letting too many people talk to us that don't have our best interests at heart. You know, there's a lot of that, and we need to.
And we're listening to people that ain't even know that we listening.
Exactly. They're not thinking about us at all.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But we're concerned about everything else outside of us.
Yeah. I mean, a small society really is inevitable that will happen, but I worry about it. Because in a strange kind of way, I was thinking about this the other day. Barbados is in a way a place. It's a country geographically, but it's not really a country socially. Like everybody intersect different. You know, like everybody has a different influence, and the influence is from here. You know, so it's a strange feeling. Like yesterday, day before in the house again.
So we were saying, not to cross you, there's no one voice. It's like we all having a separate.
It feels to me like there's less of a Barbadian way than there was.
Wow.
That, you know, like what I mean now to you. You know, like what does that mean? Or is it even relevant or necessary? You know, but if it isn't, then how do you define yourself? How does the self define? If you are saying that way of doing it is no longer relevant or applicable, you know what I mean?
Very true.
Like I asked the members of the band the other day, I said, so if I asked you for your top 20 favorite songs, would any be from Barbados?
Interesting.
Right? And man start talking pretty well. Man, I got so much songs, I don't know how you pick. I said, but answer my question. I give you 20. I ain't say 5. Would you name a Bajan song in top 20 songs that you got?
No.
I said, would you name a regional song or 2? And man start talking about Bob Marley and other different little things. But it was a stretch. You know? And there's a way in which I could have taken it personally. Because
Make
I
it a
met
bit softer,
3,000 songs, and you ain't here saying, "Oh, you can't call a song." But it felt like a bigger issue to me because the conversation started with me saying that two of my favorite songs are, I ain't ashamed, but two of my favorite songs, you know, "Help Me Love" by Smokey Burke, and "People Get Up" by the Dreadnoughts too. Them is my two favorite songs in history of the world, right? I remember like, what? Those songs? So I'm fairly sure that most countries in the world, if I went and asked musicians to name their top 20 songs, they will call songs from where they come from.
Right.
Inside the top 20. I ain't saying all 20. That said something to me.
Yeah. And it's like that with not just people in your house. That's just an example of how a lot of people feel.
Yeah. So it's really not being vexed with them for not feeling it. It's understanding why they don't feel it and what the problem is.
You don't feel like we're proud enough of our own people?
I don't think we are sure enough.
Right.
We are not. We don't have the power to validate ourselves. But have it. That's how it feels some of the time. Like you need somebody to tell you this is okay. I remember Kofi Annan came here. He was the what is it called it? Secretary General of the UN, or you know that man?
No, please. Can't help you.
Oh my gosh, it says both cards are full now.
Both full?
All right, I go on from here.
I thought it was gonna switch over.
But I want to make this point though. Kofi Annan was the Secretary General of the United Nations. And he came here. I remember the day he came because he came here the same day my father died, which is the 2nd of January 2002. And he gave a speech at the UN thing out by Marine House, the building there that they got. And he said, Barbados is a country that punches above its weight on the international scene. It's a little small country, but and every politician that spoke after that quoted him. Every Bajan politician quoted him, right? But they never said it before he said it. That was significant to me. Right? You need some boy to come and tell you this thing, and then it's okay for you to say. That is it. That's it. Is that is the problem. That is the problem in a nutshell. There.
Stop recording it.